you know what I mean. Recording is now in progress. So present today is Barbara Bigelow, Chair, Ann Brigham, Dee Riley, Elaine Paleo, Christine Marglin, and Christine Robinson. So we are a full house. Would anybody move to approve the minutes from last time?
So moved.
Okay, and all in favor, just raise your hand.
You need a second?
Oh, sorry, I thought there were two. Oh, second, a second on that?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, and then raise your hands. And that is unanimous. Everybody voted in favor of accepting the minutes. I may have to move. I'm in bright light, which is making me look very dark.
You look silhouetted.
I
You
am
look
so, yeah, I've got a
theatrical.
bright sun coming in on this side, and my camera is not good at picking up subtleties in lighting, but it'll go away. There's clouds up there, I think. And if it doesn't, I'll move. Okay, so welcome everybody. Brian Giggy will be joining us at about 4:30 to talk about the outdoor pickleball courts. And I think between the two of us, we can also fill you in on what's been happening with the indoor pickleball. This is the last week of it.
Did you by any chance look at that thing I sent you?
Oh
about-
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't reply. We actually bought all those things. So yeah, so both of us bought nets. I gave my net to Stephen Kara at the elementary school, and then Brian is holding on to his. And then we bought those markers that you can put down. We were using those initially before we put the tape down. So yeah, we have been using those.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so the Jefferson Safe Haven. Christine R. and I went and had a wonderful time. It was a really great event. There was the two sisters, Kathy and Trish, started us off with a overview of the farm and how it had gotten started. Personally, something was kind of nice for me is my daughter, Lissa, took care of the alpaca at Stephen and Susan Rice's house, and two of the alpacas that are at the Jefferson Safe Haven had been being boarded at Craigie Burn. So when I came home and I showed my daughter the sheet with all the different animals and all their names, she said, "Oh, I know that one, and I know that one." So that was really cool. She had helped take care of them. But it was a fantastic visit. I don't know exactly. I did not count the number of people, but there were at least 20 people there, all different ages. And it was kind of nice. They have a little like deck area up attached to their house, and they had popcorn and sparkly water for the people and little pieces of veggies for kids or adults who wanted to go down and feed the animals. And everybody's just chatting with each other. It was just really nice. I think it was a super event. Christine, did you want to add anything to it?
Of course. What really touched me was the story. Number one, the sister who does a lot of funding. She gets funding for nonprofits. She is a wonderful spokesperson, and she is right to the point, and she really, for me, helps you to understand how happy those animals are, because I'm from Springfield and I grew up when I was a kid with the first Forest Park Zoo. Now it's different, but Lupa Zoo in Ludlow, I went there when they first opened, and there was this bear sitting on a concrete slab, slouched, and it looked so sad, and I'll never forget that. So going there, I could see just pure happiness and in a good place, in a story that what was the sister, Barbara, that did the speaking?
Trish. No,
So
Kathy.
Kathy
did, yeah.
So Kathy spoke about a 95-year-old woman who had just lost her husband, and she sat up on the top of a boulder, which is at the top of their driveway. And she told them that she became alive again, because when her husband died, she felt dead. And by going there, it did. And I was crying. I was healed going there. Christine, I am so grateful that you had us go there. It was wonderful.
What
Yeah,
kind of animals do they have there?
They have a lot of alpacas, goats, sheep, chickens,
Donkeys,
donkeys. The donkeys were really sweet. They would like cows, but they don't have any cows.
chickens,
Mhm.
spinning alpaca.
It's just what they do.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Volunteers.
Mhm.
Cool.
I really enjoyed, there was a picture they had of a donkey when the donkey first arrived and the donkey now, and the photo of the donkey when the donkey first arrived, the donkey was so just lifeless looking. And then there was the picture of the donkey after it had been there for a little while, and literally it looked like it was smiling. It just like it had all this personality in its face. So seeing that was just, it's a great place. It's a really great place.
Cool.
They have Saturday morning drop-in volunteering. So if anyone ever just feels a need or desire to hang out with and help with some animals, I guess some parents drop their teens, which had I known about it, I would have done that too. Because there's something about working with animals that really connects people. So, yeah, Christine.
Do you remember what time?
That I don't, but if people go to the website, they would be able to find that out, or at least know how to get a hold of them to ask. I think it was 9, but I wouldn't want to count on that. So great, it was a really great opportunity. Our second agenda is recap of the 2 things coming up. The next thing is the invasive plant workshop. Brian will be coming back from 10 to 12 on that Saturday. And because these are co-sponsored with the library, Mary Ann is doing the PR that she always does for them. And then the Ancient Pony Farms, Mary Ann just sent an email out to Zoe at Ancient Pony Farms asking her just to fill in more specifically what she will be doing to put in the information that goes out to everybody about that event. I wanted to go back to the Jefferson Safe Haven for just a moment. If we ever do the Evite again, one of the participants said that something she really did not like about the Evite is that once you say you're coming, then your name appears. And so everybody can see that you're coming, and she was wishing that her name had not been, that had not happened. So if we do decide to use the Evite again, we would need to see whether there's a way to block that particular feature.
There is, at least there was when I used it
Oh, okay.
years ago
Sure.
for personal, party
Okay.
invitation.
Sure, you can hide it.
Okay,
did-
well,
I
yeah,
didn't think anybody minded.
yeah, I
thought of
mean,
it.
I don't think it was, I don't think anybody else did. This one particular person did, and I figure, so next time we'll just,
Mhm.
and she was very appreciative that Christine and I both talked to her about it and were responsive to her, so that was a good thing.
What was the reason for not wanting people to know who was there?
She just didn't want her name there. She just really didn't want people to know that publicly what her plans were, I guess. I didn't really pry what her reasons were because it didn't seem that was
Okay.
in a way relevant. It was just she didn't want that to happen. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, and as I recall, BZ, you had offered to help out with Ancient Pony Farms, which is basically going to mean that we just show up there,
Yeah.
show people where to park, and then pet the animals. It's a
And
big
who
job,
else
but
is-
somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Did anybody else do that last year?
Yeah, yeah, Anne was there, Christine was there, Aline, were you there? I don't remember.
No.
Yeah, so there were, and
Remind me when it is again?
it's on Saturday, May 27th, so that's Memorial Day weekend
Yeah. What time?
from 10 to 12.
Okay.
So we got there, Christine and I arrived about 10-15 minutes early to Jefferson Safe Haven, and I would suggest the same again, so get there about 9:45.
Okay,
because basically what we were doing was just showing people where to park. And also, where the talk started wasn't at the barn where the animals were. It was off at the field. So just kind of, it was just a matter of directing people to where
Right.
they needed to be.
okay, and are
BZ,
people,
oh, I was just gonna say, BZ, last year I did the parking and it is a good idea because Barbara was really busy with Zoe. So it is a good idea to get there 20 to 15 minutes early because remember, Barbara, the parking is really closer to where Zoe was talking, but
Yeah.
people come right up to the barn. So there is a bit of like good direction.
is anybody else going to that besides me on that day?
I'm gonna
Christine,
try.
I'll
Okay.
try.
Good. It was a lot of fun last year.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. I
Yeah,
just want to make sure I know what I'm doing, you know.
yeah.
And you
You're
said
gonna
it's
be
10
like
it's 10 to 12, you said?
10 to 12.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just as people come up, I don't know if you're familiar with the farm, but kind of on Pratt Corner Road, there's a little parking lot by the barn where the animals are and the house is across the street. So it looks like that's the main area, but there isn't much room for cars there. So the cars just have to go down, and at the corner of Pratt Corner Road and Cross Street is a little lane or driveway that goes into where the greenhouse is in the fields. So it's pretty straightforward. As people come up, you just point them down the road and then it's pretty easy to find.
Okay,
So,
Have
well, it'd
you,
be good if, yeah, somebody knows what they're doing, comes.
yeah, I sort of know, I know what I'm doing enough to be able to point, to tell you where to point them.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Have you figured out the timing or location for the invasive plants?
Yes, thank you. It's going to be at the elementary school gym because they have 3 different kinds of invasive plants there. Let me see if I can remember what they all are. Bittersweet, burning bush, and Japanese knotweed. So it's a good location because it's such an awful site because of these invasive plants. But these are things that people, I'm sure, are going to be finding in their yards. And kind of the information that I sent to Mary Ann to send out and that I talked with Brian about is his focus will likely be on the Japanese knotweed. That's what everybody was talking about last year and how to get rid of that. But we're also inviting people to come in with questions about the invasive plants that they may have in their yards, and burning bush and bittersweet are 2 that are pretty pervasive.
And what
So-
time is that?
That's also 10 to 12, and that's going to be on May 13th. I highly recommend going. He's a gifted teacher. He really knows how to give information in an informative, interesting way. I mean, he knows how to engage people. So I really highly recommend it. And, hopefully we'll learn things that we can then pass on to people about how to get rid of some of these invasive plants.
Mhm. I like it.
So, yeah, he's pretty great.
And does that have a limit to the number of people that can come to that?
No, last year she just was like however many. She didn't seem to be concerned. We seem to top out somewhere around 25 people in each of these events.
Mhm.
So, we'll see how many come.
Okay,
But I think when I asked her last year, she said 50, and there was nowhere near that number of people who came. Well, there were probably like 20 again, seemed to be around 20 between the adults and the children. I just joined their CSA, so I'm
Oh.
looking forward to,
nice.
yeah, I figured out about it too late last year, so this year I got in early.
who's CSA?
Ancient Pony Farm,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, they have full shares and half shares, so
Uh-huh,
I think that looked pretty good.
nice.
Yeah, any other comments or anything on the event we had or the 2 that are upcoming? All right. planning for Family Field Day. It will be June 17th. The only thing we don't have at this point is a rain date for it.
Mhm.
And I guess what I'd like to do is set up a subcommittee of which I'm happy to be a part of. But, you know, just want to know who else is interested in working on this.
I'll do it, sure. I mean, it's
Great.
so much fun.
I'm
And
sorry, what's
Christine,
the date again? I
oh,
probably. can do
sure,
it.
it's June 17th.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I
so just-
will. I
great.
will as well.
Super, thank you so much.
It's gonna be hard to get a rain date for this one because he's not available on the 10th. And I hate to ask him to do something when it's not school.
Mm.
You know, school timing, you know, they're,
Mhm.
when do they get out of school? Do you know? Christine, do you know when?
Yeah, hold on.
I think it's that
Is
Friday.
that- Does that event start at 10 as well?
Yep.
Mhm.
21st,
I'm happy to help. with
June
my calendar.
21st.
Okay, so they're out of school and, you know, he's not even connected with the school after the 17th. So I think that if we need a rain date, we make it the 18th.
Okay.
Ask him about it and,
Okay.
and if that doesn't work, I think the rain date will be September, the first week when they're back.
Okay.
Is the 18th Father's Day?
Oh, shoot. I don't know.
I don't either.
Oh, but, yeah.
I'm guessing it is.
I think you're right.
It is 18th, yeah.
All right, so how about
People
it?
celebrate that?
Yes, well, if you're an elementary school kid, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, but fathers should be hanging with their kids that day.
That's right.
Hello, why do you think
Hello.
you're a father?
That's
You know,
true.
we make it the rain date and the worst that happens is that some people don't come because of it. And the best that happens is some dads think, oh, good, here's a really fun thing to do with my kids.
Yep,
So
Yep.
do you want me to ask Stephen?
Yeah, I also will likely see him Thursday night, which is the last time I'll be there for pickleball. So let me see if he's there, I'll just ask him because I'll see him in person. And if he's not, I'll let you know so you can call.
Okay.
And Barbara,
Thank
you let him know that it's Father's Day because he might have plans.
Yeah, I will. Does he have kids? Does anybody know?
Well, he might have a father.
He has a
That's-
dad.
That's
He
true.
doesn't have,
Okay,
he doesn't
can
have
bring his
kids
dad.
yet.
okay.
Sorry, because I think this was already answered, but 10 a.m.
Yes,
or,
mhm.
Yep.
yeah.
10 a.m., 10 to 12. Great. Okay, so we don't really need to discuss the details of that at this point because we'll have our subcommittee can kind of meet and talk about some of the ideas that we might have if we just want to do a replication of last year, which was basically Stephen just doing an unbelievable job keeping those kids running around and having a blast, and then the kids from the high school coming up. I don't know whether that's another option this year or another idea that Elaine, you had floated was about getting kids from the ultimate team to come up.
Yeah. Kids from the high school, that was very serendipitous that they would come up. I don't think they're available this year.
Yeah, okay.
I could check with, who's related to Gene should know who's the captain of the high school team. I'll see if the ultimate team would want to come up and play
Great.
some games with them.
Right. And quite frankly, Stephen would have been able to manage him through the whole thing.
Yes. Oh,
he just-
absolutely.
He had them doing one thing after another, and they were having fun and the parents were involved. He's just a
Mhm.
really gifted person.
Yeah, and the nice thing about those high school kids is they were having as much fun with the games as the kids were.
Yeah.
They had no interest in really showing off. We made them show off.
That's right. That's right. And when you're an elementary school student, high schoolers are like gods and goddesses, just coming down from the Olympian heights.
I have to say my favorite memory of that day was the two girls who were seventh graders who were hanging in the woods watching. And Mr. Kara saw them and called them in and said, come on, come on. And he remembered their names and, you know, he called them in and they were so taken by that he would remember who they were and would want them to join. That just was like this special moment for me,
Yeah,
watching that.
yeah. For
Now,
me
how do,
especially,
how do families hear about this day? Like, what's the,
We put it in the Road Town News. It actually, they still have the Road Town News from the school. And I think Mary Ann posted it in her thing too, didn't she?
yeah, and we can post it as well and send out a all town email about it.
Mhm.
And then I think he talked to students about it as well. So he did
Yep.
a lot of the PR in the school. So it was a big success.
Mhm. Yeah, really.
Yeah. So let's see, we're gonna have unspent money, and I don't know whether we need to make any decisions about that right now. I think we're gonna have, I think, $250 of unspent money because that's what we had allocated for the skates. And we can certainly try to spend it on the field day, but I think that's a lot of money to spend on the field day.
Mhm.
Field day was nowhere near that much. Yeah, Christine?
Didn't you mention something about Stephen Kara getting some kind of equipment for him or something?
Well, he was talking about getting a bouncy house, but I think that's off the table now.
Mhm.
why don't
So
we get him something, equipment, and teachers never have enough in their budgets. Like say he needed 20 new Frisbees or, you
Okay.
know,
Mhm.
what if we said to him, can we, buy you, I mean, maybe we have to buy it and then give it to him.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
he probably doesn't wanna, it'd be complicated for him to get the money any other way, like through, But if he could say to us, I'd love to get, 10 new tennis rackets or,
Right.
Mhm.
why don't we ask him for doing
Okay.
this? It would, something that he's dreaming of getting. Let's buy him for volunteering and doing this.
Great.
Basketballs, hula hoops.
Yeah, anything
all
like that. They all cost a lot of money and he,
Mhm.
I'm sure he never has a budget that's big enough for
Mhm.
all that, so.
Yep.
Another possibility, because I've given him the net I bought. I gave him a whole pile of balls, but they don't have pickleball paddles.
Right, so there you go.
There's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, let him decide. We got
Let him
250
decide just
bucks, what
whatever
do
it
you
is.
want?
Yep.
Exactly. No, I think that's a wonderful idea and he would be appreciative. And he
Yeah,
certainly,
it's a way for us to say thank you to him for doing that.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's a fantastic idea. Thank you. Okay, well then we've taken care of the of the unspent money.
We can spend money, baby. That's not a problem.
All right, so back to new members. Just to update you on what happened, I did write to the select board and then I didn't hear back. So I sent a follow-up to the select board and got an immediate response. That was to Becky to put it on the agenda for tonight. And then I just went to look at the agenda so I would know what time to show up and it wasn't on the agenda. And I think what happened, I'm guessing, is that Rita took the email that I sent to her, just hit reply all, and Becky was never on it. So she didn't get the email asking to be put onto the agenda. So I wrote to Becky and just said, could you please put us on for the May 9th meeting? Which she said, no problem. But then I realized I cannot go to the May 9th meeting because I'll be handing out trash bags that night. But Christine R. has offered to go in my stead. So thank you so much for that. And then we are asking, as you know, for 3 additional positions.
Mhm.
And one of those positions, well, we can talk in more detail about, we talked, well, actually quite a bit last week about, asking if Mary Ann knew anybody making a flyer or something. Yeah.
Well, after we talked, I ran into the day that the library was having the Giving Tuesday. There was
Mhm.
a young man doing the coffee at the library, and I had a
Yeah.
long conversation with him, and he's a runner, and I said, we're looking for young people, and he's interested, and his name,
Great.
Andy Regan's his name, his wife is Sam, who works at the
Mhm.
library. Their young couple just moved to town and was looking to get involved in the town. And I said, how about the rec committee? He's like, great, I'm a runner, I'm interested. So anyway, there's one person.
He's got 3
That's
kids.
fantastic.
Yep, 3 kids, 2 of them are in the elementary school. He lives at the Arc here.
Yeah.
And
Who's your neighbor, Elaine?
he is, and they're great. They're great neighbors. They're
Yeah.
great people. He
So
would
anyway,
be, the energy that they have is amazing.
and I think this guy who's coming to our meeting.
Brian,
We
yes,
should invite him. I mean,
yes.
he's
Well, I think
interested-
we should, but I think we should advertise it, do a town announce and see who's interested and have them. God, would it be amazing to have people actually apply to be part of it?
I don't think we need to do that though, do we? I mean, isn't that sort of like, can't we just sort of identify some people who are interested in activities already and just ask them?
Sure.
Without, because what if we did end up with that? What if we did end up with, 8 people who wanted to be on it, and then we'd have
Oh,
to,
one of us could bow out.
yes, and we could
Yeah,
all
and I
like,
think to Elaine's point, I think one of the things that's tricky in Shutesbury, if you don't know somebody,
Yes,
you don't get involved. So I like the idea of a blanket invitation for folks who aren't quote connected or running into
okay,
someone.
all right.
And
I
then,
mean, this
yeah, if we
guy-
have extra people, that's great. I'm sure we can find things for them to do informally or as
Mhm.
Elaine said.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
some of us
Yeah.
old ladies can get
Rotate.
off this committee.
yeah. I think that it won't be hard to find things to get other people to do. Because we're gonna have the gardens and that's gonna take additional people.
Right.
I think if we do get going with this pickleball thing, the outdoor, we're gonna need additional people for that.
Yep.
At this point, I'm still gonna argue even for next year, keeping the indoor separate from the committee. Because basically what's really needed are people who are passionate about pickleball, who can get the Corey test and get approved to have a key to let people in and out of the building. It really isn't something that, other than publicizing it. I mean, I think and there may be other things like that too, that kind of develop that people might be really interested in doing that we don't kind of take on as a committee, but that we support, that we publicize. I mean, I
Well, there
don't
used
know
to be
what those are.
basketball. For years, there was basketball.
Yeah,
at the
there was
elementary.
basketball
There
there.
was women. I played in a women's game,
Yes,
and
is
that
there
happened
no-
every week. And there was a men's game that was,
Is there no basketball at the
I don't think
elementary
so,
school
not
anymore?
anymore. But it went on for years, and
Yeah,
that was before everyone was so paranoid about people going in and out of buildings. But
Yeah,
now,
Christine? Yeah,
So on May 9th, we don't have a time yet. I just gotta look it up and see if we're on the agenda.
yeah, we're gonna have to just look up and see what time. The meeting goes from 5:30 to 7, I think.
mhm.
Also, I'm just reading your letter
Yes,
and adding on, third, more committee members means
That's
more
correct.
programming ideas, correct?
correct. Yeah,
Cool.
that's it. And
Thank
they've all
you.
received the letter, so they, hopefully will have read it, but basically, that's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Just backing up a second, what was the last thing you said, BZ?
I
Do you
don't
remember?
remember. I'm
Bas-
old.
Basketball,
This is why we need
Oh,
younger people on the committee.
basketball.
Basketball. Thank you, Christine. See, the one young person there's yeah, basketball. Just talking about, if people wanted to play basketball again at night.
Yeah.
Picking a night and then doing the
Mhm.
same thing that's happening with pickleball. I mean,
Yep. And
I'm
if
sure
that
that-
happens, then they might appreciate our having some input because they will only let 2 people at a time have the key to the school.
right.
So when Brian ended up not being able to continue doing Saturday morning, he just asked, there was another person who's already had a query done, could they also be allowed to use the key? And the principal, Jackie, was pretty clear, no, that they really wanted to limit the number of keys. So if they have basketball, then it's just something to work out between basketball players and pickleball players. So
So is the school not open at night when the janitor's there?
well, it is, but they want to make sure there's somebody who's watching the players, I think, to make sure that nobody like stays in the building, but just someone who's responsible for the people who are there.
Yeah, but
So-
what I'm saying about keys,
Well, right, but I mean, the building is open somebody is there at night, but he's working, cleaning the building. He's not,
It's locked. It's locked when he's in there.
it's locked. You have to,
oh.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
huh.
yeah, it is locked. The alarm isn't set. Hi,
Oh, okay.
Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, we're just about to segue into pickleball. So your timing is impeccable. Yeah, so Brian, what we were just talking about, we haven't quite gotten to the outdoor yet, was that Jackie really wanted to limit the number of people who had access with a key to unlocking the building and or setting the alarm to 2 people.
So can I
So-
ask a question about that? Like if 2 people had the key for pickleball and then basketball wanted to happen on a different night, would she be okay with 2 other people having keys?
I doubt it. I think it's not 2 people per activity. It's not having more
2
than 2
people
people.
total.
Right.
That seems sort of limiting. I think
Is
maybe
it 2 people or 2 keys? Like, could you pass your key
2
to the
people.
basketball
2 people.
person?
It was 2 people.
so we should
We
talk
we
more
have
about
one
that.
key. We only have 1 key. Brian and I share the key.
Who has
It's
the
one,
other
we
key?
have 1 key and then we share it.
Okay, so that means there's 1 more key available.
No, I'm sorry. I misspoke before. Only 2 people can have access to a key, can have access to the building. Only 2 people may unlock and have, only 2 people are authorized to unlock the building and set the alarm when needed.
And is
That's
that a
the-
Union 28 rule or is that a Jackie's rule?
That's the school's rule. She does not want more than 2 people who are not employees to have access to the school.
That seems sort of crazy to me, having worked
And
in the school for 15 years.
it isn't actually her building, it's the town's building.
Exactly.
Well, if we want to
think-
challenge that next year, or if somebody wants to challenge that next year, they can. My guess is that they're going to defer to her, but we'll see.
I
In this
think
day
we
and
should,
age,
you
you
know.
know, that's just the way it is right now.
And the
Christine?
building is locked. I mean, you can't get into any part of the building other than the bathrooms and you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
the key, you can get into other parts of the building.
I don't think so. I think that the door, the
That
hallway
door
doors
into the
are
rest of
locked.
it. Okay.
Mhm.
I think I'm not really
two-
able to answer
2
these
doors.
things because I'm not the one who controls the keys. But I think if
Okay.
next year we want to be encouraging basketball and pickleball in the school, then someone among us will need to take that on to find out how that can be made possible. But as of right now, no one has asked to have basketball in there again. So unless somebody does, it's a moot point for now. Yeah, Christine,
Just a reminder, Christine's got to be somewhere at 5.
at 5, yeah, it's 4:33. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that there's anywhere for us to go with that at this point. 'cause
Okay, I'm sorry I brought it up. I just know.
No,
that there are
no, it came
people
up
that-
last time as well, and it's just something that we need to think about next year if someone comes, if any one of us decides, oh, we'd like to have basketball in there, then that will be an issue that we should probably set up a meeting and sit down and talk with Jackie about.
Yeah, because we used to have a lot more activities in the school
Mhm.
all the time.
Oh,
But
okay.
we didn't have shootings.
I know.
That's my daughter's world. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous, but that's what the world is now
You're-
with these
you're right.
kids.
But not at night.
Oh, they don't shoot guns at night?
Not the kids. They don't shoot the kids at night. Kids aren't in the school at night. It's adults usually.
But the fear is of somebody getting in there and staying in there with a gun.
Mm,
That's the fear of somebody getting in there. That's not announced.
true. True.
Yeah, I think that we need to talk to Jackie and or anybody else who has responsibility for allocation of keys on this one, because that's not something that we get to decide.
Yep.
We'll be told. And at this point, Brian and I have chosen to honor what Jackie's request, because at least at this point, she's the one who determines whether or not anybody can come in and use that gym. So moving into next fall, if we want to rethink that, then I think an in-person meeting, which is just an information gathering meeting, would probably be a good idea. Okay. So pickleball only. So before we talk about the outdoor pickleball, I don't know whether, Brian, you want to say anything. I just want to say how successful this has been this year. Unbelievably successful. I'm hoping, again, depending on what other demands there are on the gym next year, that we can find somebody who's an avid pickleball player who would be wanting to play more than just, for me, it's just one night that I'm willing to be there. I think that we could probably have pickleball players 7 days a week there. The demand has been so high, and oh my goodness, people are so nice. Oh my goodness. I can't begin to tell you how generous people are and kind to each other. I'll just tell one quick anecdote. There's somebody who comes every time, I think he goes to both of our sessions, who always arrives in his hiking boots and his hiking pants and his hiking shirt tucked into his hiking pants. And he couldn't play he'd never played before when he started. And boy, can he play now. He can really hit that ball. And this last Thursday night, when it was his turn, when he was in the rotation to be playing, there were a couple of really good players that he was up against, and he just whacked that ball back, and people started applauding. I mean, they were like so happy for him. So they're just this, I just love it. I love the way everybody is with each other. Ryan, do you have the same experience, I'm guessing?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just a great sense of community and getting to know folks and once again, the promotion hasn't been a lot, but we've had a great turnout. And if we did promote it more and had more people that play, like that's a great thing. But at the same point, the little private group almost that we have is really wonderful. People rotate in and out well, the skill levels are growing, the community is growing. And this gentleman even said, he was super bummed that we were going to be done. And he said, is there a way that we could keep it going? Could I, his name's Wayne, he's like, could I, Wayne, have a key instead of Barbara or Brian? And I was like, that's kind of, not to bring that up because it kind of goes back to the last conversation, but like the point is that people are willing to do it and keep playing. So he's kind of bummed because it's just a huge love for him. He gets to meet a bunch of people and he plays, probably about 4 hours a week between Thursday and Saturday. So
How many, when you say it's a good turnout, how many people what are we talking about?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What do you think we really have, Barbara? Like we probably have 20 unique people, maybe I would
say more than that. There's
Okay.
kind of a hardcore that's always there, and then there's some that kind of go in and out. So,
So there's six slots per day, 2 days a week. And the thing that like, for example, on Saturday, we have a couple that plays both sessions, Saturday morning at 9 and Saturday morning at 10. And the bummer is that takes away 2 spots for somebody else that could potentially sign up. But my fear, being kind of conservative on it, is that what if 2 other people don't show up and then we don't have enough people to play the second session? So the way we kind of dealt with it was, if we're full, just come, we'll rotate you in. And people can read the room to think that, oh, I signed up for both sessions and this person just got here, so I'm going to sit out on these ones. So,
And do you have 2 courts set up?
we just have one.
Could you
set one.
set 2 courts up?
Technically, yes, but we've discovered we don't want to. It's mostly just,
It's too much work.
it's a lot of, you have to move stuff and put it back. And that just requires, okay, now you got to get there an hour and a half early and stay a little late. And then from the people we've talked to, they were kind of, they said it was kind of hectic that one time that we did 2 courts, and one has turned out to be a little bit better.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting if, there could be extended hours, but if the extended hours is just one of us being there longer, could someone open and someone could close? Like, there's obviously logistics there.
Yeah.
But
Have you looked at
people-
what other schools are doing, like Leverett, how
Yep.
how they have it organized and?
Yeah, the way Leverett was doing it before we were, and they were actually our inspiration. But in Leverett, there's one person, her name is Liz Etheridge. And she loves pickleball and she was willing to go in 3 times a week for 2-hour sessions each time. So they
Wow.
had actually had more hours than we did with only one person. So
Uh-huh.
ideally, that's what we'd like next year, is to find somebody who can do multiple sessions like Liz does. And I think there's people in that group who would be willing to do that. Because they come in Saturday for you, they come Thursday for me, and I know they're looking for other opportunities to play. So, and they also have one court there. So we basically modeled ourselves on what they do in Leverett.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we've had people express interest with Corey checks and everything, saying, I'll take over the key, but it just wasn't, since we were kind of dwindling out, it wasn't really, we didn't kind of go up that tree too far.
Mhm.
But, Saturday mornings, I start to travel a lot in the summer. Barbara put in a lot of time, not able to play. If it was a day of the week, I would still consider doing it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like I got to work at 6 a.m. So I'm happy to be there. But at the same point, shutting it down and talking about the fall is just as good too.
Mhm.
Or talking about outdoor permanent pickleball.
Yeah.
You got a dream, right?
Yeah, actually, the group on Thursday night was talking about how they are signing up for hours at Mill River. So the same group that's been playing together is hoping to all come at the same time to Mill River to play as well. So,
Okay, so I was just updates on that for fun, like, I'm not sure if this has anything to do with it, but Jose Allen from Amherst Rec is a buddy. And I basically asked, would we be able to reserve a court on Saturday mornings or something like that at Mill River? And he said he would look into it.
oh, good.
Because people were excited to play, but we can't promote it and say we'll show up at 8 and then there's tennis players. But I'm happy to donate the net to the greater good and people can set it up and play and I'm happy to play. I just I'm not sure if I can commit.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's, Mill River is great. It's a free court and it's,
So the Mill River had 2 tennis courts there. Is one of them now a pickleball court?
yeah. And what they did was they actually set up, it's neat that like, there's 2 courts, right? There's a right and a left. On the left court, they have 2 courts. They have one on one side of the net and one on the other side of the net. So you can play 2 like kind of totally private games and there's no nets. You have to bring a net. But I was down there the other day and someone brought their net and set up and started playing.
Mhm.
It's actually cool. We were getting tennis lessons from someone that plays pickleball with us that we met and see every Saturday. So it's just been fun to, and they live 4 houses down. So it's been fun
Nice.
to meet because we all know Shutesbury is everyone's pretty separate. You got to be pretty intentional to meet each other.
Right.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why
and the
we have a
nets
rec
aren't too-
committee.
What?
That's why we have a rec committee.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Get out of your cabins.
Yeah, come on out.
So outdoor, I know, Brian, you did a little bit of research on this. The biggies, just to kind of, and I'll shut up as soon as I say this part. The biggie with the 2 biggies with the outdoor courts. One is they really cannot be close to houses unless we have a way of putting up some kind of noise reduction barrier or muffling system around the court because they make a lot of noise and there's a lot of kickback throughout the country where pickleball courts are being set up too close to homes. And it has 2 problems. One is it's noisy and 2, it's repetitive. So even if it's far enough that the decibels are at what's considered normal levels, there's that constant thwack, thwack, thwack sound. So that's one issue about it. The second is and I know people in this committee had suggested it, and Brian went and talked to the person at Shutesbury Athletic Club. And while there may be a possibility of putting it there, we can't get a grant. We can't use the CPC funds there because you cannot use them anywhere where access is limited. It has to be completely open, and they have a they have a membership fee. So if that was a direction that seemed to make sense, that would be really separate from this committee, because it would be trying to get the Shutesbury Athletic Club to want to build a court to have there. So, Brian, I know you've looked around at different places, and basically at this point, I think it's one, kind of what are some of the options, and two, what are next steps for us to take? It's really where
Sure.
we're at.
So there's a couple sites. I went to 4 different sites, and just for context, not that it matters, but my wife and I went to grad school for landscape architecture. So site engineering and like, overlays and abutters and stuff like that's pretty familiar to us. So I tried to have some knowledge about this, but I don't have any knowledge about actually installing the courts, but I do have rough pricing for fun. So just for fun, a court is 30 feet wide by 60 feet deep, just to kind of give you a reference of how big we need, give or take 1/10 of an acre. But I went to 4 sites. I went to the AC, I went to behind the fire department, went to town hall, and I went to the state park down by the lake. The AC, he was real nice. He basically said, you could put it here where the volleyball court is, but we would want the fee per se to be, you have to buy a membership to the AC. So $25 for a family. Now you can play pickleball for free. Obviously there's things there like insurance and maintenance and things, but he was happy with it. There was obviously no conversation much more than that, but that was kind of what he said. There's abutters there for sure. Everybody's probably 150 to 300 feet away. 2 out of the 3 work there. The other one is a nice individual. They have a good relationship. So, but sound is the thing. The others real quick were behind the fire department. Parking, yeah, I feel like it would be a nuisance. It could work, but I'm sure if all these pickleballers stream in and they're trying to get cars out of there and someone parks in the wrong spot, that's probably a deterrent. But the back of the parcel, is town property, goes pretty far back. There was an old baseball field. There is like a very far back kind of meadow where they used to have the bonfire. So that would be flat, makes sense. I explored town hall a bit. That was actually pretty interesting. Town hall is almost, there's options. Right behind town hall, like behind the solar panels, that's flat enough to make sense, but then you're near neighbors. Logistically, like getting all the way back there, the very, very back of the property is actually flat enough to have a pickleball court, and there's no neighbors really there, but it's pretty far back there. So in terms of how do you get a concrete truck back there, and how do you get a fence company back there, that's its other conversation. By far the best site, I don't know how it would work, would be the state park. So down by the lake. So when you're at the lake and you park, like you're going to the big beach, you go in the entrance and you kind of steer to the right. If you went dead straight up that road that's blocked off, nice, perfect, flat parcel, they have ample parking. The reality is it's a state park, and then it costs, I don't even know what it would cost, but you got to park your car there. There's probably a day use fee. I've put in 2 disc golf courses at 2 state parks in New York, so I'm moderately familiar with all the tape that goes with it. But outsiders coming in, it wasn't overly difficult to put in a recreation edition. So those are the 4 that I explored. And then give or take for numbers, just if you had all the money in the world, a 1 court would probably be about anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000. The reality is if you put in 1 court, you probably immediately want 2, and that's probably going to be in the $100,000 range. And I have like line item quotes from other places like Belchertown Rec and folks like that have done it, but it's a pretty decent number. Nothing to sneeze at for sure.
What would be your preference of those 4 sites?
The sites?
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
you had all the money in the world, which one would you?
it seems to me that the easiest one would be behind the fire station, because nothing goes on back there. There is parking, it's flat. The closest neighbors, like, I went on Google Earth and I did like the ruler tool of how close would this be? Some were like 600 feet away, some were 250 feet away.
You just
but
have to have for
I'd be
their-
nervous about the parking.
I'm sure that the parking, we would have to have separate parking. to
Sure,
push The parking back, because I know when Walter was the chief, that there was no way that he wanted cars anywhere around
I
the
bet.
fire station.
I
Because
bet.
getting the trucks out quickly, you wouldn't want to run back to the pickleball court and try to get somebody to come in and move their car. So all the parking would have to be back by where the baseball was. But that backfield, that used to be a horse pasture.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. Each one has their ups and downs. I mean,
Mhm.
they really do. The AC, I don't think is worth entertaining because of the kind of the private nature of it.
Mhm.
The easiest insert would be the state park, but would that deter people because you have to pay a parking fee or something? Or
Yes.
What about the elementary school?
the elementary school, I feel like I looked at like the center, in the very back where they have the center, like the
Track?
like the track in the middle. But just thought, I can't remember if there's like an aquifer under there. I can't remember. I remember seeing a sign that was around there, but it would be easy because it's flat, tons of space, tons of parking.
Yeah, that's what I was
But
thinking.
but I'm not sure. I definitely went over there. I just I wasn't sure about how that would actually happen mostly.
Well, I was
because-
just thinking that then the kids could use it, for gym class. I mean, it would be
Right.
like and
And I-
maybe you could get some, money to kick in from the school too. if you
And I
could-
was thinking,
PTO.
not to disagree, because I totally think it's a great idea, but I was thinking the opposite, meaning, hey, it's Tuesday at 4, I want to play. Can I play? Or, like, can you actually go on those grounds any time of the day? Like, I don't work
No.
Fridays. Can I go
Well, the
Friday at
kids-
9 a.m.?
No, the kids are
kids
there until
leave-
5,
Yeah, but
Right.
you can do it after school hours,
but
5.
they're there until 5.
Right, but in the summer, it's light till 9 o'clock. You could play. That's when you're gonna play outdoors. It's not gonna be in the winter.
Right, no doubt.
Anyway,
Definitely
just
worth,
another thought.
Definitely worth, it's definitely an easy one. But thought, would it,
Well, 'cause you'd have
you
the
get your dog?
parking, you'd have the space, you have and the school, the kids would love it. I'm sure they'd love to have it.
And it would be
No.
flat back there, but
Right.
but you want to
Perfect.
fence it in though, right?
you would need to fence it in.
So that would be a
I mean,
problem. Yeah.
Me personally, I mean, I'm not picky. I'm happy to go chase a ball, but for enjoying it, you're supposed to fence it in, and you're even supposed to put like nets up to block the wind. There's a lot to it. But you just fence in the court itself, you
Yeah,
wouldn't fence the
but
larger perimeter.
if you wanted to put it in the middle of the track, that would be an absolute no, putting fencing there. You'd have to do it without fencing.
Yeah, there's your answer. And maybe that might be a conversation that people need to have. I mean, do we really need fencing? That's an extra $15,000, but
Mhm.
if you're gonna do it and spend serious money, I'd imagine you want to do it through completion.
Yeah, Christine?
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to cut out in like 1 minute.
Oh, okay,
So the minutes are gonna end with me.
okay. Why don't you just send them over and then I'll note the time that we end and put anything in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in terms of the committee right now, I just want to get a sense of sort of the commitment of the committee to move forward with figuring out if this is feasible and then submitting a grant.
Yes.
I'm seeing nodding heads. Okay. Okay, yeah.
Let me run it by, I'm on the Community Preservation Committee,
Super.
and let me run it by the committee next May 3rd. May 3rd, we
Okay.
have our meeting, and I'll run it by them.
So is
It's-
there a chance we could get money from them for this?
It would be next year, though.
No, I know, but I mean,
I don't know. It's recreation. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can't build a playground, but I'm not sure. I don't have the whole thing in front of me right now, but I'll check.
okay.
So could I ask just for fun, I guess with two quick questions would be understanding like CPA funds, like asking a little bit about that, but the more would be for the school, like, is there a reason that they wouldn't allow a fence on a court inside that track, or is that just not even a discussion that would just never happen?
Well, they use it for, soccer and
Oh,
and
Yep,
they use
no,
it
makes
for
sense.
other things in
Yep, no,
the.
it makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Okay.
Going back to the Shutesbury Athletic Club, is that tennis court paved? I mean, is the volleyball court?
No.
No,
No.
okay,
And
that's too
and
bad.
he seemed, I don't know if he was trying to negotiate, it definitely wasn't the feel, but I understand his interest, he would want to get, the thing that was kind of the last thing. Hey, if we did it, we would want the membership. And
Mhm.
and maybe it might be worth saying, we can do it, but we can't do the membership. And if he says no, then there's your answer. But
Yeah.
Well, the other thing
Also-
is whether if he would like, if it's a benefit to him to have it as part of the athletic club,
Yeah.
then if there's any way that we unofficially can be supportive or helpful in that, while at the same time for us looking for a place that's on town land. I don't know what the logistics are in terms of our committee trying to do anything about putting something on state land. I would guess that that's not within our purview. Any,
No, I don't think so. I think
okay,
you're gonna have to go through the state for that. I mean, it could be a member of our committee that would negotiate it, but it would definitely be with the state. But one of the things I was gonna ask is, BT, do you know how much they use those lower fields anymore?
good question.
At the elementary school?
Yeah, I think the little kids use them. I mean, I haven't taught there for a number of years, but it used to be the lower fields were more for the little kids and the upper fields were for the older kids.
Yeah, but there's a lot of lower field room.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it could be tucked in at one of the lower fields there.
Yes, I think it could be.
Yeah, that's a
know,
great
just
question. I mean,
Make it smaller.
And that could be, off to the side, because I know we used to use it for soccer for kids.
But now I think they use the upper fields.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right, because it's like an overgrown baseball backstop and two soccer
Right.
cages if you
right.
oriented it.
Right, if you
this
reoriented
way,
it, exactly.
You could still have green grass and basically a pickleball tennis ball.
You just put it at one end of the field.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be something to look at there.
yeah. So first step is Elaine, you finding out whether or not this will be an appropriate use of those funds.
Yep.
And if it is, we then start looking at some locations, and it seems to me that we would be pursuing three things simultaneously.
Mhm.
One would be figuring out whether or not there's a place in town where we would be able to put a pickleball or pickleball courts. And the second would be to perhaps kind of approach the state, whoever that might be that we would need to talk to about having a pickleball court there that we would not be paying for, but just asking about the whether or not that makes sense or is viable. And then the third is the athletic club. So one would be us funding, the other two are not, but going to those people or state, I don't
think-
know who you would
I-
go to there, but find
Yeah.
out whether or not that's viable.
I think the getting involved with the state is just gonna be a total hassle.
Oh, I don't think that the involvement would be us doing anything, but it would be more of, how do you, and Brian, you said you've worked with the state, what do they need to hear from people who use it to determine that, yes, this would be a good thing to have on the property?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
definitely be, because
So-
even that, then even if you got permission, I mean, thanks for the permission. Will you please?
We don't
pay
want
for-"
permit, yeah, we're not looking for permission. No, we're
Right.
looking to find out, so what is
Right.
the path towards, they have basketball courts on state land.
Right.
Why are the basketball courts there? How do you move towards getting pickleball courts on that land?
Sure.
I have no idea, but no, I don't think we would have any involvement whatsoever in the paying for it, the advocacy for it. Is just kind of trying to find out how to do that and what is it that they need, and can we facilitate that in any way?
Yeah.
So Elaine will find out about whether or not we can use the money. If we can't, then we're kind of back at square zero, because that's our major source of funding. With our $1,000 a year, we really are not in position to build a pickleball court. Um,
And when you say, just to ask, when you say funding, is that like this, I call them CPA funds, maybe I'm misspeaking, but are those the CPA funds that are appropriated every year at town meeting, or what is those? Yeah.
mhm.
And is there a percentage that's for recreation, a percentage that's for conservation? And then at the same point, it's up to the town, right? Like it would have to get passed by the town to allocate them towards pickleball?
Right, every year we put funds into, we get the funds from the town and the state, and we have 4 buckets. We have recreation, restoration, and I should know it.
Okay.
It's gone off the top of my head, but we do have a pretty big chunk of money, and we could spend as much or little of it as we want to each year. It's not an allocation of how much we have to spend. And so it is possible. Historic, that's it, historic. So, it's just a matter of putting in a proposal. You put in a proposal as of kind of you don't have to flesh out the whole thing, just kind of, this is what we want to do, and this is how much money we think we're going to want to use in December. And we review those and then tell you to put in a full proposal if we think it's a viable option, and if it comes under the CPA regulations. And then we vet them in January and February, and we've just finished that process. And then we move forward and put a warrant article on the town meeting, and it's up to town meeting whether it gets funded or not. It's not up to us, although everybody thinks that the high school track was all up to us as to whether it got funded or not, and it was not. It is just up to us to say, yep, this was a viable CPA project and it fell under the rules, so now the town can decide. So that's the way it goes. So if you put it in next year, you get funding as of July 1.
Understood.
So there's plenty of time.
Yep,
And when-
plenty of
and-
time.
And when you say it's up to town meeting, is it as easy as, does it have to be 75%, or is it more yeses than nos?
More, yeah, it's majority vote.
Okay. All right, well, Brian, thank you for all the information that you've gathered about this.
Thank you all.
It's really helpful, and we'll just, at this point, it's premature to be thinking about specific locations, but December isn't that far away. So we will want to talk about the best way to approach finding out about the land behind the fire station, the land at the elementary school. Those are the two that seem to be the top contenders. Any further comments or anything having to do with this? Okay. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming to the meeting. And, hopefully we'll all be able to work together to make this happen. It will just move in slow time,
Not a problem.
except for the indoor. So to have anyone move to adjourn the meeting,
So moved.
second, okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that is unanimous. I'm turning off the recording.